Meanwhile, many users are enjoying the warmth that the WELTEM heater provides. There are also a number of people who are facing some obstacles, and in 9 out of 10 cases, those are easy to fix. That's why I have Matthijs with me today. We're going to see how we can diagnose the issues that occur with the WELTEM. The first thing we encounter is the preheating. Then you have a blinking flame icon in the display where it would normally stay lit continuously. What is preheating?
Preheating is actually there's a nozzle in it, and that nozzle ensures that there's a mist that comes from diesel that ignites. That nozzle is so small in the smaller models that the diesel comes out cold, not easier. It's going. Preheating ensures that the nozzle heats up so that the diesel flows in more easily, so that it starts up well at the beginning when it's cold.
So the diesel would be too thick or not liquid enough.
Yes, it wouldn't mist properly, so there wouldn't be a nice combustion. And then there's a chance that white smoke comes out of the exhaust, and you don't want that.
So as soon as the heater is at 7 degrees Celsius, then the flame would...
At 7 degrees, it turns on immediately. Below 7 degrees, it starts preheating. Preheat takes about 3-4 minutes, let alone 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, it should start burning. So you push it on, and then the heat light starts blinking. Just wait 5 minutes, and then it will really start working.
Okay, that wasn't so bad. What else often happens?
It sometimes happens that they have the wrong cap on the tank. There are 2 types of caps included. The cap you need to use if you want to use the heater is the cap, the one with the ridges. That ensures it can take in air along the tank so that it can't create a vacuum. There's also a cap included for transport. That's meant for when the tank is full, so that you can transport it in a car without the whole car getting covered in diesel. Use the transport cap for that. If you want to use it, you use the other cap where the venturi can take in air.
Of course, people have a brand new heater, just out of the box, never used, and it doesn't work right away. What could the problem be then?
It could be that if you've just filled the heater with diesel, there's still air in it. The suction side of the pump, you need to bleed this manually. There's a little valve on the pump with a sight tube at the front. You actually need to open this a bit. And as soon as you turn on the heater, the pump starts running. Then you'll also see diesel coming through the little tube pumping with air bubbles. As soon as you no longer see any air bubbles, you close the valve and the suction side is bled. It also happens that the heater shuts off. That actually means that there's no fuel left in the tank. Instead of going to refuel, they push a few more times, and then it will start again. But at some point, the diesel level is so low that air can get back into the line. Then you would basically need to vent it again. Here you can see the line, the transparent line, where you can see the diesel coming out. Then you see bubbles of diesel coming out. As soon as the bubbles stop and you have a constant flow of diesel, you close the valve again. So you open this one, then you turn on the heater. Then you hear everything start up and everything begins to run. Now you hear the ignition on the spark pan. I'm shortening it to the pump. Now you see a lot of air coming. And now you see a constant flow of diesel, and then you close it. You could repeat this 3 times. Just open. And now I don't see any air coming anymore. So now it's nicely vented.
But is this something you have to do every time you refuel, or how should you see it?
If you stop and indicate that you need fuel, then there is no problem. Keep going. While he has indicated that his diesel is empty, you would need to vent it once.
So basically, only the first time or when the tank has really been completely empty.
Then you need to vent it a bit.
Okay, you can already see some flames in the glass. What is that?
Yes, this is actually the combustion chamber where the diesel ignites. In the glass, you can of course see if it has a nice flame. And above, you can see the nozzle. Then you can also always check the nozzle if it doesn't leak, if it has a nice mist. When the heater is new, there's still a bit of air in the line. So for the first 5 to 10 minutes, it can start singing a little bit and gets better after a while when all the air is out of the line is.
So we've been talking about the super clean and pure combustion of the heater. So clean that you can just use it in the office or next to people. And now some people are reporting that they're getting white or even black smoke from their heater.
Black smoke is obviously not good. That actually means there's not enough oxygen in the air. Too little oxygen means poor combustion. Best black smoke. You can easily check it when you turn on the heater. You see here an inlet. That's a rubber with a hole in it. This hole is also made for this heater. So every heater has its own size of hole. That really means the air access that the heater needs. If you now have this stove, if you pinch it shut, it gets less oxygen. Then it will also start to smoke black from the top. You don't want that. That's not good. You could prevent this by ventilating the room a bit more. So let more oxygen flow into the room so that it still has that oxygen available. You can also make a snorkel. So basically, make sure the hose is bigger than the rubber and regulate that to the outside so it keeps its fresh air coming in from outside.
What I mainly know about this situation is a landlord of large party tents who has such heaters. And at the beginning, it goes really well. And as the tent fills up, actually, it starts to smoke black.
Yes, well, people taking away oxygen. In this cart, you don't need a lot of oxygen. Then you should place the snorkel outside so you can draw in oxygen from outside. And not from the tent, because people are, of course, also taking away oxygen.
You say there's little oxygen, but we also have people who have been running it successfully for a month. And then it suddenly starts to show pure black smoke.
That could be a reason that it's in a very dusty room. The motor draws in oxygen, which also brings in dust. The dust actually ends up in the wire, and that's obviously not good. And it has less air displacement. And then a solution would be to clean the wire. Should it be completely open? But I can show you that right away. White smoke, the number. One cause is actually contaminated diesel or the wrong diesel. Old diesel, white, yes. They call it a misty diesel. A misty diesel is actually diesel that contains moisture. Diesel attracts moisture. And yes, that's just unavoidable. To check that, I always grab a transparent measuring cup. Open the tank and just take some diesel and see how it runs. Look now. This diesel is pure. A nice transparent diesel. I already showed you how diesel is running. There's moisture in it. I have a jar here. I've already put some water in there. If you pour some diesel in here, the diesel floats on the water and it doesn't mix together. But now the diesel still looks clear. So if you were to look from the top of the tank, you wouldn't really see much. Then you might think, oh, the diesel looks really good. Only when the heater is on, it does pull the diesel from the bottom. And then it pulls a lot of moisture up with it. You don't want that. And very often you've transported the heater or the diesel can get shaken up. That means you'll get that cloudy diesel. So you often encounter it again when there's moisture in it. I absolutely do not use cloudy diesel.
Getting the diesel out of the tank is harder than pouring it in. So, if in doubt, just check it beforehand. Makes big impact. Hassle.
Let's say I have that contaminated diesel in my tank. What should I do then? What can I do this?
Get everything out. Pumping it out completely, you definitely don't want that. That causes so many problems. Refuel with clean diesel to the brim as much as possible, so that the residue, which still remains a bit in the tank, will mix with clean diesel and replace the diesel filter. That's going to cause problems in the short term.
We have a service kit for that.
Yes, you can grab it like that. This is the service kit. It actually contains everything you need. First, the gasket. That's located between the heater and the engine. The diesel filter and the nozzle. And then your bag of compression powder. If you have clean diesel in the line and you still have a problem, and it gives what white people can also test. At some point, there's a chance that the diesel filter gets clogged. Take it out. Here it is. Just put this little cap back on the OM light, like this, the diesel filter. If you look, this doesn't look dirty.
Dirty would mean
Black, just a black filter, that's where the mold is.
Okay.
Well, there are also two O-rings here. These two really need to be two. If one is missing, it's often still in the filter. Then you need to fish this one out. That's still in the filter. There's still one ring attached here, with the same little hose thus. You usually can get it out. So it really needs to be two. This filter. You replace it with a new one. You can see a good color difference. You push this on. And with this, you screw it on. And is it still showing an error? Then you can test it like this. You hang it in the pot. Maybe put something underneath it so it stays up high here. And then you turn on the heater. Let's bleed it. Pump longer. Get all the air out. Now you need to give the diesel, then you need to repeat that one more time. So now for a moment, turn off the heater and bleed the system. You're just raising the tone here in the pump and make sure to be wiser about what air is in there. Look, now the air is out. Now it's going to run. Now there's definitely no moisture in the diesel and the filter is clean. Is it still giving you that error? E1. Then it's higher. Then it's really in the component inside here. So this way you can rule it out. That's just for the test to see. Is it in the filter system in the tank or is it higher up? The error is higher up. It's not in the filter or in the ground side. Then we'll disassemble the DE.
you're pulling all the hoses now loose from the start filter.
Yes. Then this can be set aside for a moment. Well, we're removing the filter. Then I'll disconnect the plugs on the side as a second step. There are 3 plugs, 2 white and 1 red. Well, you hang that loose. Then with a long 13 socket, you can work on the side. 2 nuts. Just let that go for a moment. Then you can take everything all off at once.
Well, it's obviously black, so that's not good. This is the gasket, which we'll also replace later. You can remove the top cover with a Phillips screwdriver. See here, this is the nozzle. That's actually the top point. There's a set of new ones included. I'll grab it for a moment. Then I say this little point is up here. Make sure to replace what's inside with the same one. Not that you put them in a big or a small gut, because then the ratio won't match anymore. That the factory has prescribed. You can unscrew this with the same Phillips head. Loosen the screws. And you gently remove this. Now we're going to remove the spark pins. On the other side, do you see those 2 black plugs? You just click that loose. And with a crosshead, you can loosen it. Check if these are not torn anywhere. There is a porcelain coating around it. It shouldn't be cracked. As soon as it's cracked, the spark jumps over to the housing. Then you'll also get malfunctions from that. Next, you have the spark pins off. Then you hold this against it with a little wiggle. With wrench 19. And with key 16, you can do Norvell, unscrew. And of course, there shouldn't be any safety in here. If there's safety in here, then your entire pipe is actually blocked. On the other side, then you just unscrew this pipe loose at the pump. You take that off the pump. And then you just blow some compressed air in there so that the pipe is completely empty. Then there are definitely no safety features and residues in the pipe. The better you clean, the less chance of malfunction, of course. Well, I'm just checking if that's normally the same. Screw your new nozzle in. Hold it steady for a moment. And a little tight. We were just talking about the black drying, that the fan housing could be dirty. Then you should loosen all the cross joints on the outside. And that's how you take the fan apart, and then you can check if it's dirty in here. At the bottom, there are also two on the pump. I always loosen that up a bit too, it's just a bit easier. Now the pump is loose. Now, you take it apart. This one is spotless. There's nothing in the scoop. It could be completely full of dust. That causes problems. So make sure you don't clean everything with compressed air. This also applies to this housing. This should actually be completely dust-free. If it's clean, here are the little flaps. They're loose. Make it completely closed. And then put it back together, screws. This flap is actually operated by this black pot, which is basically a stop. Each stove has its own setting, so do not change it. Leave this as the factory has set it. Then you can stack them on top of each other. So close the flaps and everything again. Now, start the time lapse. This is the viewing glass that we looked through at the beginning of the video. Then you saw that it started to ignite. On the other side, there is also a viewing glass, but there is a sensor there. That's a light sensor which checks whether there is a flame or not. As soon as it doesn't see a flame, it obviously turns off the stove, because then it keeps supplying diesel and there is no ignition. It could be due to soot formation, due to a worn out ventilation housing, that it has too little oxygen or things that cause it to produce black smoke. Then this glass also gets dirty. Make sure it's nice and clean, that the eye works well. Those front pins, make sure to check that there are no cracks in it, that it's in good condition, not bent. Pins clean, then you can put back on it. In this case, the situation is on, the goal is actually that you shouldn't tighten the screw too much. So basically, tight is tight. You always need to turn it on and give it a little tap, more enough. This ensures that the oxygen actually goes into her swirl. The combustion chamber goes in, and it shouldn't be too clean either. Nothing should be stuck between the displays. It can go back in. Also with the crosshead. On Got them all back in place. You see the little indentations here along the screw holes. They're also in here, and it actually falls apart. So it can only go on in one way. Make sure it's in place. And then the engine is ready for a new season. Is everything back together? Just checking the spark pins are in, the light sensor is properly attached. The cap is on. Nothing is twisted. So it's the same wall as in the factory. That's correct. You can go back in.
Okay, so it seemed kind of intimidating, but it actually wasn't that bad.
It's not that bad. It's a matter of getting started.
Okay, yes. And it's nice that you don't have to send the whole device in or have it picked up, but you can just do it yourself.
Makes difference.
Like those underlays that you can order.
Yes.
Every heater has its own underlay, so it can't really go wrong there.
Well, every heater has this unit, so it all comes down to the same thing. Do you have issues with the heater? Nice, you want to keep it. So I do recommend doing a maintenance check once a year.
Well, not quite there yet, but we're getting close to the end of the season. Are there things you need to do when you're not going to use the stove for a while?
Yes. What I mentioned at the start of video. That diesel attracts moisture. That happens in the summer, also not just in the winter. Make sure the tank is full and that you store it full. So don't store it half full or empty. Then you just have more space to attract moisture. Make sure it's drained, is stored.
Okay. Cleaning still, or is that hardly the case?
Not really.
If you store it completely, does the transport cap need to be on? Does that help?
No, you actually need to leave it open. The tank should be able to breathe in and out.
In the panel, I see a diagram with 8 error messages. E1 to 7 and then high. We've covered E1. Those are combustion problems. E2 is the false storage, clearly. If the heater is on its side, it won't work. Okay, E3. We have a temperature sensor that's causing a problem. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, there is a temperature sensor at the back. Suppose you damage that, or if it's not functioning properly, it could give an error on that.
Have E5. Combustion error?
Yeah, not a good combustion. Well, I have all those steps that I just showed. You need to go underneath.
Okay, E6.
Refueling, diesel on.
And then we have the high error, the temperature above 50 degrees.
Because it won't turn on above 50 degrees.
And that's purely the ambient temperature, right? Not that a part in the heater gets too hot or anything.
Here is also a sensor, a thermal safety device. It ensures that if there is a fire inside the stove, it cuts off the power. And then it also indicates that high fault. Pick it up. And then you take the unit. Make sure there are no cables in between. And then those two may put the nuts back on. The same applies here. On is on. You don't have to be very tight because then you actually pull the packing piece. So it's just on and then a little snug. Three plugs back together. They can all be in some way. Can't go wrong. We still have the diesel filter, the black hose on the brass part, transparent hose on the venting part, and this one now we're going to turn it on again and put the air on the pump because there's of course air in the line.
You might have to repeat this 3 times. That he picks it up
Now, of course, everything has been off, but there's still a lot of air in there.
Well, and this way you can really enjoy your heater.
Thanks for watching. See you soon in the troubleshooting video. As you can see, you can do quite a lot yourself. If it's still not there, just get in touch with us and enjoy the warmth.